me to change, but I ain't changing. Nah. I remain the same.
And you are now tuned into another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio, brought to you in conjunction with A Beautiful Machine magazine, as well as the mighty Nerve DJs Radio Network. And I don't know if you saw the flyer. It's going to have the four tops on. Shit happens, and unfortunately, they will not be joining me tonight. And usually, when that happens, I just, I might show an old show, or I just cancel the show for the night because life happens. I understand that. I get that. But today, I just felt the need to kind of talk about some of the shit that's going on in this country that most of us live in. Not every one of my viewers is American and or lives in America. Matter of fact, if you are from another country outside of the United States, I would truly love to hear your opinion on the current state of America. I don't get the opportunity to talk to foreigners, if you will, but I would love to know what the view is of Donald Trump, what the view is of MAGA, what the view is of this country as a whole from the outside looking in, from an unfiltered aspect, if you will. So most of us have seen the video of and let me make sure I get this young lady's name right. Renee Nicole Good is what's being reported as this lady's name, who was killed by ICE agents. The video I saw clearly is different than the video that MAGA has seen. Apparently, there are two different videos. Some of us saw her drive off and get unalived, and apparently Trump and JD Vance saw something completely different than what the normal eye saw. And it made me think. In Germany, in Nazi Germany, for a time during Hitler's heyday, there were Jewish people that not only were okay with Hitler, but they promoted the guy. And I'm not saying they were all Jewish people that did this, but there were a Jewish faction that encouraged the Nazi propaganda, the Nazi ideology. And every time the Nazis would do something that most Jews said was horrible, fucked up, and racist, this segment of the Jewish population somehow minimized and or acted like what they did didn't exist. It's similar to a black MAGA person of today. I for the life of me, I can't understand the willful ignorance of black people supporting this guy. Just my 2 cents, but I digress. This lady was a white lady that got unalived in broad daylight. Let me repeat that. This was a white lady that got unalived in broad daylight. And white folks are okay with that. Not all, but typically speaking, shit that happens to black people is just us niggas. Shit that happens to Hispanics is just those. But when it happens to a white person, especially a white lady, the world usually stops. And there's all types of excuses, rationales, or whatever made to excuse whatever behavior. She could have done the most heinous thing in the world. If she did it to a black person, there's an excuse for it. But here we have a white man unaliving a white woman on live TV in broad daylight And the president is saying she was wrong. I never thought I'd live to see this shit. I'm not even gonna lie. My condolences to her family. Let's get that out the way first and foremost. Well, I guess it's not first and foremost, but I just don't understand the anger. Why, especially white men? Like JD Vance gives a speech and says white men don't have to apologize. Well, you don't have to apologize for being white. When the fuck did anybody apologize for being white? I'll wait. I don't recall ever hearing anyone say, I'm sorry for being white. First off, no, you don't have to apologize for being white. You can't control what color you are born into. But to act like there is some type of war against white people in this country, some of the dumbest shit that I've ever heard in my life. I don't really have any terminology that adequately expresses that outside of that. This country is just fucked up right now. And, you know, I'm saying right now as if this country hasn't been fucked up since its inception. Did you know that those white men that started this country thought so little of their poorer white counterparts that they didn't let them vote because they didn't own land and they didn't think they were smart enough to vote? They make it seem like those white folks escaped the horrible king and the horrible policies. What they really escaped, or what they really wanted, was to be the king. And they found a way to go about doing that. So from this country's inception, it has been an oligarchy under the guise of democracy. They've convinced this planet that somehow America is the beacon, the shining light of democracy, where everything is done equitably and we vote on things and it's harmonious. It's the biggest hoodwink in the history of hoodwinks is this country. And seeing a white lady gunned down live on TV by the government, and the government getting on TV and saying it's okay, is the absolute most American shit you're probably going to see. And that's a fucked up way to look at it. But at some point, white people out there that are 100% MAGA, especially poor white people, you're next. And somehow you don't see it coming. Black and brown folks have always been the test tube. Because we question shit. When they get through fucking over us, they're not going to stop. You're next. And I don't, for the life of me, understand how you can't see historically how they use the worst example they can muster to convince you, poor white people, that whatever bullshit they trying to pull off is okay because it's only happening to niggas. You next. When the Black Panthers carried guns into the state capitol and the NRA was all for gun reform and California jumped on that shit with the quickness because it was niggas with guns, it didn't just affect black people in California. It affected white people too. We the test tubes. And y'all don't seem to get that. Difference is, for better or for worse, we're used to getting fucked over by this country. So we've made we've adapted. Y'all not used to it. but it's coming. You think this motherfucker stole all this oil for you? Are you kidding me? At no point did he say anything about the average white person getting a benefit from Venezuelan oil. No, he said the oil companies. And by all accounts, let me check the records. You're not the owner of an oil company. I absolutely guarantee it. None of this shit that he's doing is going to benefit 99% of this country. Yet some of you goofballs hate black and brown people so much that that's all you can see. But you can't see the writing on the wall for poor white people, middle-class white people. Upper middle, everybody's going to get knocked down at least a rung on the ladder, except rich people. And y'all don't seem, y'all won't notice it until healthcare has tripled. Until the price of milk is $8. The price of your favorite liquor is $50 for a pint. The price of whatever the fuck you want to buy has gotten exorbitantly high. You won't notice the difference until then. And then you're not going to know how to handle not having enough money. And what they're going to tell you is it's the niggas' fault. To try to make you feel better about not being able to afford shit. But at the end of the day, you still won't be able to afford shit. There is some Klansman right now in buttfuck Arkansas that hates me just because of what I look like. You know the problem though? Is that person is on aid. And they're blaming me because they're on welfare. Oh, you about to find out when that welfare gets cut back, or the Section 8 you've been loving for so long gets cut back. Because not just going to start with black people or Hispanic people. It's going to fuck you over too. And you can do all the blaming you want to do, but at the end of the day, being broke is being fucking broke. So you can either wise up and look at this shit for what it really is, or you can just be broke and bitter. Anyway, I just felt the need to say a few things because I'm dumbfounded at the state of this country. Not that I ever had some, high expectations or anything of the like, but this shit that's going down, yes, I'm fucking surprised. I just am. I didn't see this shit coming. I knew shit was going to be fucked up, but Lord have mercy. I never saw it being this fucked up, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. Is your hate more valuable than you being able to afford the basics? Let me ask you that again. Is your hate more valuable than you being able to afford the basics of life? A roof over your head and something to eat, some clothes, maybe taking your family on a vacation once every couple of years, if to nowhere else but the shitty ass carnival up the street that comes to your town every fall. You got to decide what you think is more valuable, hating me or loving yourself. I'm out.